Hey you guys, what's up, and welcome back to Two Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're giving you guys our first impressions of the brand new album from Deicide titled Overtures of Blasphemy. So I, haven't listened to this band too much, but, the preceding days before today, I did start checking out their discography, listened to a few of their recent albums, and I do enjoy them. The albums I listened to, I forgot the names, but they were more recent, and I think they're a pretty good band. Like, I'm not sure what to expect, if there's going to be anything different or something similar, but I'm not sure.
I've been listening to this band for years, but I wouldn't consider myself like a big fan. I just they're one of those bands where, like, if I don't know what else to listen to, I'll throw on some Deicide, and I can listen to any Deicide, doesn't matter, old, new, whatever. I'm particularly more fond of their last 3 or 4 releases. Those albums, to me, like Stench of Redemption is awesome to me. Death Do Us Part's awesome. What else was there? To Hell With God is amazing. These albums are all really good. My biggest downfall with Deicide is the fact that there's not very many songs that really stand out. There's not really many songs where there's like a memorable riff or a memorable part or anything like that. They all kind of blend in together, but overall it's still very good music. So I'm looking forward to this new album. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just hoping that the songs have their identities and that there's something memorable about the riffs or the rhythms or something like that that brings me back to it and makes me go, this album stands out among the rest because of this, and I want to be able to have a reason there. So we're going to go listen to the album in its entirety for the first time, beginning to end, and we'll be back with our first impressions. Stay put. Alright guys, we're back. We just listened to Overtures of Blasphemy, a good solid 30 or so minutes of satanic death metal for our now bleeding ears. PV Fish, what did you think?
Well, this album, I felt, went through the footsteps of other Deicide albums where it had a lot of consistency. Now, this could be a good thing or this could be a bad thing. I think it's really down the middle because it was good music. Throughout the entire album, all 12 tracks were good. I didn't feel that any of the tracks were like, oh, this sucks. So every song had an entertainment factor, but some of them just felt a little bit too similar to me. And a song would come on with a 6/8 feel and I'd be like, okay, we've heard this like 5 times now. But some of them still did have some memorable moments. Like, my very favorite song is track number 3 called Seal the Tune Below. We both pretty much share the sentiment that
it's the best song on the album.
It's brutal, it's hard, in your face, constant double bass is happening, it's slamming you into the wall over and over and over. And what I really liked about the guitar solo, that had dual guitars in it, which you don't really see anywhere else in the album, so that's something that really makes it unique.
Yeah.
That's something I feel a few other songs really lacked, something that really unique that made it stand out. There are a few subtle things that stood out about some songs, but I would say Seal the Tune Below is a really good example of something that really jumps out like among everything else and makes it seriously memorable. But it was like, what I feel with this band is just like, if you took Slayer and they played death metal and got a new vocalist and they were just a death metal band, that's what I feel like this band is. It's like that thrash and death metal hybrid, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. It's a really cool thing because you have an interesting perspective on thrash metal, but now with the growls, now with a lot faster, harder beats. So it's a really interesting hybrid, and that's very relevant on this album. Some of these songs, I said to myself, this sounds like a Slayer song, but it's got, death metal vocals.
Yep.
Or this one, it's like, okay, it's got like a thrashy feel, but it's got, rhythms that are like from death metal, the death metal genre. So it's a really cool hybrid, and that was really relevant. It's really hard for me to pick a least favorite song because I felt when I was rating these songs as we were listening to it, they all kind of got the same rating. Nothing really got lower than a 6. Excommunicated, the 6th track, got a 6. That was the one, that was pretty much the most Slayer kind of song.
Yeah.
Like, I wrote in my notes, like, this is a Slayer song with a different singer.
Yeah.
Which bothered me a little bit, but you also have to consider, like, it's an interesting thing. Like, you don't really expect Slayer with that kind of vocal, so it's like, okay, here it is.
I found that song actually stood out amongst the rest of the songs because it was so thrashy. It was much more thrashy than all the other songs, in my opinion. And you mentioned the Slayer comparison, and I agree to that, namely because the guitaring, a lot of the guitaring on this sounds like Slayer, but they use that like wailing guitar noises, like the whammy bar kind of thing, which I really like that stuff too, but just want to throw that in there.
Yeah, also like track number 10, Consumed by Hatred, that was like a song that kind of went over my head. I didn't really have many things to write about it, so, you know, it wasn't something that really stood out, but it wasn't something bad. I could put on and be like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
And I felt that way when I was listening to the other Deicide album, saying like, you know what, regardless of what's happening here, I'm enjoying what I'm hearing. And that was the case with this album, I felt, for the most part.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed the whole album. You know, all 12 tracks were really good. But I do feel like the first 2/3 of the album were definitely stronger than the last third. Basically from songs 1 to song 7, I was like really into it, like really pumped. I was really enjoying the melodic differences of each song, which is something that I've struggled with Deicide over the years, is that I found that, you know, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, their melodies have a hard time catching my interest. But I found this album on several different songs had melodies where I was like, well, that's very interesting. I really like how that's done. You know, just different things here and there. Once you get to track 8, like you just said about a track, I can't remember which one you picked, but I really had no comment for it. Like, it was good music, I was enjoying everything I was hearing, but nothing was really standing out to me, so I don't even have any notes for that song whatsoever. There was also other things like certain notes I was writing a lot of, and I kind of don't like writing the same notes for different songs because that makes me feel like there's not a lot of diversity in the album. But I heard a lot of D beats, a lot of tremolo picking. There's about 2 guitar solos per song, which, I mean, I love all that stuff, but when you're hearing it every single song,
it starts to wear on you.
It starts to wear on you. But the best thing about it, as I said, the first, you know, 7 tracks, or 7 tracks I should say, is that even though you have those elements in every song, those elements were done differently in every song. You know, so that to me made it a good thing. You talked about Seal the Tomb Below, the 3rd song. That is one of my highest rated songs. I think that song's phenomenal. I can't wait to hear it again. Again, we've only heard this once so far, and so far, that is the top song for me. You talked about it a little bit, so I'm not gonna get too far into it, but there was one thing that I liked about it specifically, and that was sustained guitar notes for the riffing created this like just very sinister melody.
Yeah.
You know, we were listening to it and you said it sounded evil, and I was like, yeah, it really does sound evil. Like, this band is evil. It's what they do, right? My next highest rated song, actually got the same score as that, was Anointed in Blood, which is the 7th song, and that's basically the turning point for me before the album kind of went and plateaued a little bit. But that song starts with a solo. There's about 3 or 4 or 5 songs or so that start with guitar solos that are very shreddy, very waily, but also have their melodic, you know, element to them as well, which I really like. But the melody in this song, hard to explain, but it had some weird, like a weird break in it. It's like a really fast break, but it just liked the way it was going.
The rhythm had some interesting breaks in it, which was a really good breath of fresh air from like the rest of the album. It's like, oh, okay, they didn't do something like that yet. What was that? And it catches your attention.
Exactly.
What are your thoughts on the last track, Destined to Blasphemy? Because I feel like it had a similar effect to Anointed in Blood, where it's like, oh wait, like they did another 6/8 groove, but it felt different. Like it felt a lot more fresh, and it caught my attention.
Okay, well I will say that, you know, like I mentioned already, the album starts off great, plateaus a little bit. I think the end of the album, the last 2 tracks, did pick it up again. Not quite as good as the first half, but it did pick it up. So the second last track, I gave a little bit of a higher score than the last track, but you asked about the last track. I feel like it had a decent intro, and I'm trying to go off memory right now. It had a decent intro, and the rest of the song was not great, but it was different. It definitely had a different sound than the rest of the album, and I really like that, because songs 8, 9, and 10 all kind of just felt stale.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. Song 11 was good, but it wasn't as good as the first 7 tracks. But song 12 just had a different feel to it, a different sound. So I really like that they closed the album with something that was just kind of a little bit, you know, out of the norm from the rest of the album that kind of all had this specific sound to it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, what about you? Did you have a specific thought about it, or?
You know, the album felt a little bit like a blur, like when it was getting to that section you were talking about, because I feel the same way. Flesh Power Dominion was another thrashy song. Not saying like it was exactly like Slayer, like Excommunicated, but it was, you know, it caught my attention again because it was like, okay, we're doing thrashy again, nice, because for the last few tracks it wasn't like that. The only other time where it was really specifically thrashy was Excommunicated, I found.
Right.
So it's like those two kind of stand out as like these are the most thrashiest ones comparative to, you know, them being death metal songs.
True.
That was interesting.
Was it Flesh Powered Dominion or Flesh Powered Domination? Because I wrote Domination in my notes. I might have wrote it wrong.
I wrote Dominion.
All right, man, one of us wrote it wrong, but either way. You know what? I really like that song though. That song has some cool stuff to it. The melodies and the rhythms really complemented each other. The guitar solo was also very melodic in that song. It wasn't just super thrashy, super shreddy. Had some melodies to it. And there was a weird riff in that song. It opened up with a really weird riff. Again, hard to explain how it sounded. But you know,
especially like based off one listen as well.
Based off one listen, yeah. But it had a weird riff and thrash beat, so you get like a D beat, and all that stuff combined made a pretty good song in my opinion. So overall, though, on a first impression, I like what I heard. I'm happy about what they brought to the table, and I feel like I'm going to enjoy this week listening to the album. I just hope it doesn't get stale and old on me.
Yeah, I mean that's always the fear for a lot of albums, and for this one I kind of feel that there is the potential for it getting stale, but any album always has potential to grow, which is what I hope will happen for myself as well, listening to this over the week. I enjoyed what I heard. It didn't blow my mind, but there were some moments that did stand out, and hopefully even more moments will stand out to me as the week goes on. Like we said, we're gonna listen to this album forwards and backwards throughout the entire weekend. We will be back next week to give you guys the final review of Overtures of Blasphemy by Deicide. Guys, remember to like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you're brand new to the channel, comment, tell us what you thought of this album. We will read all your comments as we do. I'm TV Fish.
And I'm Vile Self.
See you guys later.
Hail Satan.